guys, TrueGreen7 here. And now that Pokemon Sun and Moon is what we're all thinking about, I thought that I would list the 10 kinds of Pokemon that I would kill to see in these games, or any future generation. Seriously, I would murder for these Pokemon to exist. Know that 60% of the entries in this video are Pokemon that I want based on specific myths from around the world. The rest are actual animals that I want to see in Pokemon form. A year ago I made a video about the 10 animals I want to see in Pokemon, like the flamingo, so I made sure that only one entry from that list was carried over to this one. And as for the title, it's perfectly correct because this list is about Pokemon for Sun and Moon, not the ones that are in Sun and Moon. And with my luck, considering I make my videos weeks before they're released, Korokoro either got leaked yesterday, today, or will be leaked tomorrow. And one of my entries will definitely be the origin of one of the starters or something. I'd bet on it. Number 10. Platypus. The platypus is like a Pokemon in the real world. It has a duck bill, beaver tail, webbed feet, lays eggs, and the males produce near deadly toxins. This creature could have been pitched at a Pokemon meeting by God himself, who could have came up to Ken Sugimori and said, "Hey, we got a duck, we got a beaver, let's put it together." And of course, every Pokemon lays eggs and has access to the move Toxic, so let's call this water-type Pokemon Platypus. And Ken Sugimori must have not liked the idea, so God left his job at Game Freak and decided to make a platypus in the real world. And now that platypuses are popular, Game Freak has to release a platypus in Generation 7, and no, Psyduck is not a platypus. It has duck in both the name and category in English and Japanese. It's a duck. Why do I even have to explain that? Did you know Meowth is a cat and Tepig is a pig? Number 9. Bake Kujira. Okay, this is a very personal entry because I don't know about you, but this yokai is pretty cool to me. It's a ghost whale, an animated whale skeleton that curses anyone that sees it. It's a great yokai for the designers at Game Freak to draw inspiration from. And considering its Japanese origin, I assume that this creature could eventually become a Pokemon. I just love the idea of a skeleton suspended in plasma. Number 8. Slow Loris. You know you're pretty slow when your entire species name begins with slow. In the Pokemon world, these cute little Asian primates could be a variety of potential types. It could have the same situation that Slowpoke has by being, you know, slow, but having psychic potential, or it could be a poison type because guess what? Slow Lorises actually have a toxic bite. Or they could be a normal type, because these things are pretty shy. Number 7. Nian. In Chinese mythology, Nian was this beast that would terrorize villagers each spring, on or around the Chinese New Year. It would come out of the seas or mountains and went on rampages, mostly attacking children. Eventually, his weakness was found, and that just so happened to be loud noises, bright lights, and the color red. So the villagers began to utilize his fear and drove him away every New Year until he never returned. Now during the Chinese New Year, it's become tradition to throw firecrackers, make everything red, and of course, make a whole lot of noise. It'll wake you up, but it's worth it for some Chinese food. Can you tell that I was eating Chinese food while writing this script? Number 6. Narwhal. I'm actually surprised that we don't have a Narwhal Pokemon. The water type is the most abundant type, so there must be a lot of inspiration for these aquatic Pokemon. I personally love using water-ice types like Lapras and Walrein, and I think a Narwhal Pokemon would fit perfectly with this cool group. That was an ice pun, and I'm not afraid to admit it. We all know the Jedi of the Sea nickname that people give narwhals, so with such a badass moniker, how can you not want this animal to become a Pokemon? They already stuck a horn on a fish, a seal, 2 horses, a bee larva, a caterpillar, a bird, a dog, and an otter, so why not make a Pokemon based on an animal that already has a random horn on its face? Number 5. Cerberus. So we all thought Mega Houndoom was gonna be like the legendary Cerberus, with 3 heads and the whole shebang. But now I have to sadly say that I think that our opportunity to have a Cerberus Pokemon is long gone. We already have a Hellhound Pokemon, and tons of 3-headed monsters. The only type that Cerberus could be is Fire and Dark, and then he'll just be a copy of Houndoom. So originally this was going to be my number 2 entry, but because it's the only entry on the list that doesn't seem plausible, I brought him down a couple of spots. Number 4. Pegasus, also known as the Winged Horsey. So here's how you satisfy my desire for a Pegasus Pokemon. Just give Mega Rapidash wings and make it a Fire Fairy type. Thanks Game Freak, I knew you'd come around. Number 3. Sphinx. This mythical creature with the head of a human and the body of a lion could totally be a legendary Pokemon. or just a regional cat like Pharaoh here. It doesn't have to have an actual human face, but maybe one that is humanoid. Perhaps we can add a scorpion tail and some wings. You know, like a manticore. I know a lot of people thought Litleo could have evolved into such a Pokemon. In fact, forget the Sphinx. We already have Sphinx. I'm replacing it with Manticore for my number 3 spot. Number 2. Griffon. Okay, I promise this is the last entry with wings. But seriously, how is there no legendary Pokemon based on a Griffon? Technically, Rayquaza is based on the Hebrew legend of Ziz, which is a Griffon-like creature. But I don't see no beak and wings on Rayquaza. I mean, it's okay, Rayquaza, I still love you. Here, have a cookie. Now, before we move into number 1, let's have some quick honorable mentions. We eventually need to have a huge moose Pokemon, and it could really exhibit high attack and defense. The Echidna needs some Pokemon representation other than Cyndaquil, I guess. I love Pygmy Marmosets, so having some extremely tiny monkey Pokemon would be so exciting. The Jackalope is a very unusual mythical animal, and we need some representation for North American folklore. And finally, Ra, the Egyptian sun god, would make total sense considering, you know, sun. And number 1 is... the Bottlenose Dolphin. I'm talking about straight up dolphin. Not a Pokemon based on an orca or a Pokemon that kinda looks like a dolphin but is based on something else, but rather 100% dolphin meat. I don't care if you believe dolphins are jerks or that Japan has a notorious relationship with dolphins. I want some kind of psychic or fighting type bottlenose in Sun and Moon. And considering the game's setting, this is 1722% necessary. Just like how it's necessary to subscribe. Just kidding, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. You can press the top right video to check out the list I made with Michael a while back about the animals that I want in Pokemon. And press the bottom video for more top 10s. And I'll see you guys very soon.